Hello, everybody. This is Jeffrey, and this is Ripe Color, and I am continuing with the series Tarot Tuesdays, even though today is not a Tuesday. It's just that Tarot Tuesdays sounds a lot better than Tarot Mondays, Tarot Wednesdays. It just sort of floats off the tongue a little bit easier, even though I don't always do them on Tuesday. Okay, so in the series, we just finished interpreting the Devil, which is an interesting, I mean, they're all interesting cards. Next card is the Tower. You'd think I'd be prepared, but I'm not. I will find it. Okay. So the Tower card, a lot of times when people see the Tower card, they completely freak out. It's a little bit like the Death card. It's like, first of all, let me just say, just as a general rule, card reading is about kind of understanding the energy that's in the air. It taps into possibilities. It taps into possibilities. You could be at the beach and some people are more sensitive to maybe the air changing, oh, maybe a storm is going to come through. Maybe all of a sudden the water is going to get rough or smooth, or it's like that. I remember once when I was a kid, we were at the beach. I was really a little kid. And, there were a lot of people at the beach. I guess it was a weekend. And all of a sudden, this storm was coming. It wasn't even a storm. It was really like a wind. And it was so high, like the sand went up, I don't, maybe 30 or 40 feet. And you could see it coming toward us. And everyone's like, what the, because like that's the weather, right? That's what the tower's about. you know it's like, well, it was unexpected because we were having a beautiful, wonderful day at the beach. It's like, yeah, but you're still outdoors. It's still the weather is, all of a sudden a wind comes, all of a sudden a storm comes, all of a sudden the surf gets really rough. But I was completely unexpected. Well, we live in a world where everything is completely unexpected. I mean, that's life. That's life. Oh, I had everything figured out. I had everything, all my ducks in a row. And then something shocking and surprising and instantaneous happened. Well, that's the way it is sometimes. That's just the way it is. Okay. So interestingly, we looked at the devil last time. And the devil is really about revealing your fear in a way. Seeing the fear, or acknowledging the dark. Okay. Then we have the tower. Boom. Such an interesting card. All right. First of all, it's at night. So it's like mixed, like double worse. It's like one thing to get a surprise during the day. It's another thing to get a surprise at night. All right. So it's very sudden. It's like very, very, very sudden. It's probably the card of sudden change, like really out of the whole deck. I mean, the death card is a change, but is it sudden? It could be. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, right? Because sometimes it's like the element of something dying, something going down, and then something new coming up. So it's a little bit of a process. The chariot also has this energy of speed, but the chariot has a plan. The chariot is going somewhere, right? He might be going to a new place, but he's packed. He knows he's going. It's like you're packed, you're unpacked. And that's the thing about the tower is, oh, well, it was completely unexpected out of nowhere. It's like, okay, I live in Mexico City. So on a certain level, subconsciously, it's like an earthquake can happen here at any minute. You know, that there's a little bit of that. It's like, and not that I'm encouraging people to live in fear, but well, I didn't, I never thought that that relationship would end. I'm just giving an example. I never thought that my job could end. I never thought, etc. Like, so, okay. So it's very sudden, it's very swift, it's a change. There's a sense of, it's like a rude awakening. It's like a rude awakening. It because I feel like also the tower, that this is the interesting thing. So the tower is like an outside catastrophic influence, but it's that, oh, I'm separate from, no, you're not. None of us are. We think we are. I'm in charge, my life, my ego, my job, my family, my life, my car. And it's bigger than that. So it seems like it's this catastrophic sudden surprise coming from the outside world, but in it, our energy fields are much, much larger than we realize, even though we don't always acknowledge it or tap into it as often or as, it's not exactly, mm, you can't be there 24/7, right? We're supposed to be here in this plane most of the time. And then, you expand, but we can't always be there. So it's this outside influence that comes out of nowhere. It changes everything like that. Could be a job, it could be a relationship, it could be money, it could be where you live, could be like a natural disaster. So there's an energy in the tower. Like I could give you examples of my own tower moments because we all have tower moments. That's the thing. It's not, no one's immune. Um, it's really like your oversoul or, God or both, or your higher self saying, you no longer vibrate here. It's time to rebuild and remake and redo. You don't belong here anymore. That's it. You just don't belong here anymore. There's something else for you. And so the interesting thing is a lot of times people try to rebuild the tower that they were in. Maybe they make it shorter or taller or different, maybe it's not made out of brick now, it's made out of glass or whatever. But that isn't really necessarily going to work either. And so a lot of I live here in Mexico. And part of the reason I live in Mexico is because I had a tower moment in New York. I lived in the same apartment for a very long time. And there was a fire. And I'm lucky I'm alive, honestly. And I escaped through the window and the whole thing. Um, um, and I lost everything, like everything changed. And initially, I was trying to rebuild because I thought like the apartment would get back together and I would just go back to my old life. It was going to take some time, but I was going to go back and do what I used to do. It didn't really work out that way. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful, even though it's really challenging. It's challenging because living in a different country in a different environment is a huge adjustment, and you have to adjust. There's no, I could pretend I'm living in New York, but it's like, but I'm not living in New York. I could pretend uh, whatever I want. I don't want to like this Mexico because Mexico, just like the United States, just like every other place, has its wonderful qualities and its not so wonderful qualities. And it's like, if I try to impose my will and, oh, well, it needs to be this way. It's like, that's nice. Um, it is the way it is, and I have to adjust to it, right? Or not to adjust to it and, go back to the United States or, go to another country or whatever. So there's an energy of really being vulnerable in the tower. And sometimes, being vulnerable could be a really good thing because being vulnerable allows you to get in touch with what's really important. It allows you to be really raw. It allows you to ask for help. And or maybe also it ignites your own strength, your own courage, your own resourcefulness, and maybe you weren't able to access those things because everything was safe and everything was solid. And it's like all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to figure this one out. I'm going to have to figure this one out because I don't have a choice. I wrote down a lot of it's the moment of truth. It's a challenge. It's unexpected, makes you vulnerable. It's a rude awakening. It's also like an obstacle. And so, like my little tarot message a day or two ago was am I going to see this as an obstacle or am I going to see this as an opportunity? So I'll give you another tower moment I've spoken about it before. I used to make t-shirts. I used to, so I'm a dyer, I've been a dyer for a long, just dyed. It's not a good dye job, better than white, right? So so I used to dye t-shirts and then I put these images on them and I used to sell them. And one of the places that I sold was in New York. And I used to work there as well. I used to work there like part-time, like maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 hours a week or something like that. I don't remember. And I enjoyed working there and it was fine. And, I used to get like to promote my own t-shirts and stuff. Okay. And I don't know. These guys, like, they didn't really know how to say no. Okay. Some people don't know how to say no. So somebody came by and they sold them a hot computer. Okay. And it's like, I'm not into buying hot computer. But anyway, they bought the hot computer. Anyway, this person started hanging around all the time. This person was very volatile, very, I don't know, scary, sleazy, etc. And they like was there 24/7, would like push people's button. Like it just didn't belong there at all. And it really, I was like, what the? And part of working there, aside from like pushing out my stuff, was I needed the money. To, because it was extra money every week and it was steady money, and I kind of needed the money. And so I stayed there, right? But that when this guy showed up and they refused to do anything about getting like, we really glad we bought the hot computer from you, but you don't live here. But they would like living there at that point. And I got this real feeling of danger, of physical danger. It was really strong. It was really strong. And I was like, I can't do this. This I'm not doing. This I'm not doing. Really bad idea. Oh, I'll manage. No, 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 no. So I quit, and I quit like that, and because I needed to, and that was because I wasn't vibrating with violence, with danger, with feeling unsafe, like I couldn't do it. Anyway, I did that, and and the guy was what do you call it, like on parole. And I'm not saying, look, sometimes people go to jail, like, it was like a moment in there. But some people, they have a tendency toward violence, toward whatever. Anyway, this person was already on, what do you call it, parole. And I had an altercation, not with somebody in the store, thank God, but somewhere else, and threw him back in jail. It was like, I couldn't be around that. It was just too unsafe, unsavory. And the thing was, it was like, I just know I don't vibrate with this place anymore. And there was this inkling beforehand of what am I doing here? Because and going back to the devil, part of staying in the place was, oh, I really need this little amount of money every week, because it really was a little amount of money. I really need it because I'm unable to generate it myself. Or also it could be like a little, the devil can sometimes be a codependency. It's like, well, I owe it to them and I have to take care of them. And it's like, my job is not to take care of anybody. My job is to take care of myself. So this is what the tower comes in and does. It just breaks it all up. It's like, no, you're not vibrating with this anymore. You're meant for something else. You're meant for something bigger. You're meant for something. It just like it won't hold. It won't hold. And I talked about it in the live video I did recently. So getting back to the earthquake thing. So there's a really big earthquake here in '85, and I saw this scientific thing where that most of the buildings that were destroyed were between 6 and 15 stories, and the lower ones were fine, and the higher ones were fine. And they said, "How did it?" He goes, "It's a vibration. Like every building has its own like signature, sound signature, or movement signature, or whatever, sound wave or earthquake wave, whatever that means." And it couldn't hold. And that's what it is. It's like there's a vibration that just won't hold anymore. There's a vibration that just won't. Now, the other thing about the tower is, it's real crown chakra. This is the only light here, right? Middle of the night. And it's like, like the fire of heaven coming through. And it's so there's something deeply spiritual about it. And there's something deeply it comes from the larger part of ourselves, right? It comes from the larger part of ourselves. Um, it's so there's an aha, right? Like a brainstorm. It's like aha, or sometimes let's say you're working. There's something about somebody, and it's like I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something off. There's something wrong. There's something hidden. There's something I don't know what the hell it is. And then it's like aha, right? Or there's something about this job that I don't know. I'm not really vibrating with. Aha. And like that's how it happens. So it's an aha. And there's also this element of the way you're thinking being destroyed. It's like, well, I really thought that if I had all my ducks in a row and that I was in charge and la 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 la, and I had this. It's like no, and sometimes it could work for a really long time, and then but no, sorry, that way of thinking isn't working. That way of being, that way of feeling, it just doesn't work for you anymore. And it's like it's time to start over again. Like that's um, yeah. And there's this element also of like an illusion being broken because it's the Tower of Babel, right? So the energy, like sort of the understanding of the Tower of Babel is like we're going to reach this the Godhead, but it wasn't about like trying to reach the Godhead. I mean, this is my understanding. It wasn't about trying to reach the Godhead to be more heavenly. It was about reaching the Godhead to be more in charge, to be more in control, to be more in right. It's like no, 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 no. All right. And because they look like they're falling on their heads, right? They're gonna fall on their heads. So it's like there's a mental, like, no, that way of thinking ain't working anymore. That the intellect of that is like, no, no, right. And but then we have these lovely little yuds. And so I just read something. There are 22 of them in the card. 22 is a master number. 22 is the number of letters in the Hebrew alphabet because there's a lot of Kabbalah in this, and there's always tons of symbolism in these. But so it's the Yud. It's the smallest and the most powerful uh, letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and it's the number 10, which is completion. It's the first letter in God's name. It's the first letter in Jesus's name. It's the first letter. It's a really holy letter. It's a 10. It's complete, but it's complete. It's interesting because it's the interesting thing about completion. It means that something new is going to grow. So it's like one story is over, and at the same time, the new one is beginning. Like that's what's going on. It's like, oh no, no, no. That story is over, but you have the seeds, the flames of a new thought, a new opportunity, a new element to build with. But it's not about rebuilding the same tower. It's just not, because you could do that again and again and again. It's almost in a certain way, like, let's say there, you know, how certain people, like, they go from one relationship to another, right? And it's like, oh, well, you know, oh, they cheated on me, whatever, or they moved away, whatever it is, right? Oh, my tower, my, and then they go and find somebody else. It's like, no, 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 that ain't gonna quite work. You know, oh, I had one, you know, corporate job and I had all these, and then like, it's like, well, maybe it's time to do something other than a corporate job. Um, you know, I keep on going back to this same town, or I keep on building on the shore and it keeps on, the house keeps on getting destroyed. It's like, it's just not, there's this opportunity for something new. And, you know, even though it's scary and even though it's intimidating and even though it's like, but that's the point of the tower. It's like, well, what resources do you have and what's really important here, right? Maybe you built it on your false ego. Like, that's what's going on here. Very interesting. There's a lot going on in this card. So please watch a series if you'd like a private reading, if you'd like to take tarot classes. I also offer IET, as well as pendulum clearing, which are healing modalities which can help you release trauma from your body. I did videos on that. It's all available on my website. And I'm a very talented, in all humility, artist. I don't have it. Is that? There's one. Here's another one. See that? Ta-da! Yeah, well. So I've been doing a lot of collage, a lot of, but the thing is, like, most people do collage, they rip up magazines or, you know, cut up magazines and they add it to things, and you know, they make some really fascinating things. But I paint, like I'll make a painting and then I have these shapes that I painted other than that, and then I kind of put those together. That's the way I do collage. That's the way I do collage today. Anyway, they're all available for purchase, Bright Color Community, and blessings. Thanks for joining me.